Good afternoon, everybody. Pastor Mark with First United Methodist Church of Batesville for our weekly update. I am especially excited about this week's update. Normally, I spend my time telling you some of the things that are out in our newsletter that comes out online today and gets mailed out. It will be in the post office. Was on the post office yesterday. It'll be mailed out to your homes in the next couple of days. Today, I want to give you a sneak preview of next week's newsletter because something happened last night that has me excited. A lot of people excited. Our church council met, and part of that was to get ready for Charge Conference, which is in about a month. That's our annual meeting. But we also had some recommendations from our board of trustees. That's the board in our church that has the responsibility of oversight and protection of our building, which of course you know has been closed for some time. For the last couple of months, the trustees have been getting bids and doing some research, and they have come up with a proposal that was accepted by the council last night, and the council approved some of the first two major steps, and that is a sanctuary renovation and repair. So if you're familiar with our church's history, our sanctuary was built in 1913, and it is a beautiful historic sanctuary that has some need. You can see that there is some water damage that occurred, and you've seen it in the plaster inside of the sanctuary that has peeled off. Well, several years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, the church did extensive work, a couple $100,000 worth of work over several years to deal with the water issues that this building had, replaced the roof completely, sealed the bricks over the last several years, have done lots of things, and we've been waiting to move through that stage. And we have about $35,000 of debt left on that. Well, we wanted to move into the second stage, which was repairing the plaster and painting inside the sanctuary. So we are beginning that work in the next couple of weeks. We'll have more details in next week's newsletter, what's happening. But as you see some of these pictures, you know that we have some plaster damage in there that will all be repaired. We'll paint the ceiling, the walls, the trim. Going to be beautiful. But that's not all. They also approved some other work. Now, we had some damage from an air conditioner leak in the second floor, so that work begins at the same time. We're getting bids for new carpet and pew cushions in the sanctuary, which we'll be working on over the next several weeks to bring back to the council. The trustees have been working hard on this. And lastly, to find a way to make the chancel area, that is this main area where the choir sits, I preach from in the sanctuary, to make that wheelchair accessible and easier to get up and down with for all of us. So we've got a lot of work still ahead of us, but all of that work begins soon, and I'm so excited about it. Again, we're going to have more of that information in the newsletter over the next week. We also approved the modifications of what some people call the bus barn or the carport where we park one of the vans. That is going to be expanded into a larger pavilion. I believe it's 20 by 48 square feet, more concrete poured in a pavilion. So with our outdoor meetings that we will have a new covered space with light and fans. It's going to be beautiful to add to our campus. And if you stop and think about it, that will be the only covered pavilion in the downtown Main Street area. So it's something that we can share with our community, as well as continue to have our small group meetings and outdoor gatherings. Our youth, when we get to come back on campus and do more large group things, we'll have an outdoor setting that's for a larger size group, in addition to all the things we already have. So I'm excited about those things. But there's more. I feel like I'm in a furniture commercial. There's just more coming. That is that we also realize that over the last several weeks as it's begun to rain, we've had to cancel a couple of youth meetings and some small groups because of rain. Now that the cooler weather is coming, we have decided to open up the fellowship hall for small groups. It's mainly a backup area because our conference guidelines still encourage us to meet outside whenever possible. It's the safest place to meet during the COVID virus that we're struggling with. But we're going to have the fellowship hall available for small groups to meet in. Next week we'll have a lot about the protocol. There's still some strict rules to follow. For instance, we wear masks all the time. We try to stay 6 feet apart at the same time. We'll take temperature and log in when we go in. But if the weather turns bad, your small group will know that you have a place to come into. We're limiting the number there to 2 small groups, up to 25 total people at one time. And every time we use it, we have to sanitize it afterwards. So there's quite a bit to pull together, but it's our first step back inside the building. and a wonderful, gracious way for our trustees and our council to make sure that the ministries continue. So the weather, as it gets cooler, as there's rain, as it gets dark earlier, there's so many things that can make our groups cancel or postpone activities. We want to keep these ministries growing. So we have a lot of small groups that meet, and I'm excited about that. The last thing I want to share from our council meeting is that we approved several people as what are called lay servants in the church. A lay servant is somebody who, in answering their own call to ministry, like all of us have to serve in the church, they have done some special classes and training. It used to be that it was called lay speakers, but lay servants are people who take a whole wide variety of classes. It can be on lay speaking, how to speak in public, but it can also be on understanding spiritual gifts, on grief care, lots of different aspects. These are people who have done extra training for ministry. We have endorsed those people, and those are Sandy West, Cindy House, Joel Williams, Joel Wagner, and Michael Wilson. But then we also have two people who have gone the extra step to become certified lay speakers. So they've done all that basic work and some advanced work, and now they've actually taken more to help in worship leadership. And all of these people can preach in public at different churches. They can be called to fill in for pastors when they leave. They preach in our pulpit some. But Kathy McKinney and Asa Whitaker have both been certified as lay speakers, and our council approved those. So congratulations to them. So you hear all the excitement going on there. We have people that are still very much active and involved in ministry. We have all these things going on. So we continue to build up the church to get ready for when we do get to come back into the building, and hopefully that will be soon, but we don't have any dates set yet. We're watching carefully, praying fervently for God to open up the doors. But you know what God's doing is opening up doors that aren't in our building. Building relationships, people making deep commitments in their faith and their walk. We've had new people visiting our parking lot services, our online services, and so there's still more going on. Starting on October 4th, we're adding a new worship service. Remember that? At 11 o'clock, that's not this Sunday, but the next one, we have a new worship service. It's a fully traditional service, in addition to our 9 o'clock, which will be even stronger as a contemporary service. Our 11 o'clock will be a traditional service. The night before that, we're having another work day that the trustees are sponsoring. This is our second evening work day. It's Saturday, October 3rd at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That means that it starts getting dark around 7 o'clock. That's the end of our work. We have a clear ending to it, but it also gets cooler as we work. So instead of getting up early on a Saturday and getting hotter as we work, we get to come and end our day. The first one we did was last month, and it was absolutely enjoyable. We had around a dozen people that worked to clean up outside the church. We wore masks, we took precautions, kept distance when we needed to, but we're going to continue some of that work, so please watch the newsletter for that. Next week we'll have that to join in more about it. There's so much going on this Sunday in worship. I'm excited about worship as always, but this Sunday we're going to take a time out. Now, some of you are thinking we've been taking timeouts for 6 months now, and we have, but our sermon this week is looking at a psalm in which we start to look at what the timeout can be for us, what opportunities we have when we take a pause in the things we normally do. I think it'll speak a lot to us. It's spoken a lot to me as I prepared for it. I look forward to sharing that with you. And then we continue to move forward in all these different ministries, all these different opportunities. So make sure you come back Sunday morning, this Sunday at 9 o'clock on Facebook or YouTube, or you can join on the radio at 11 o'clock, 103.3 FM. You can also find that online. Join us in that time of worship. We are going to have another good worship service, and then we're going to keep expanding that and keep taking our steps. Excitedly looking for October 1st is when we'll begin opening up the fellowship hall. We'll have some criteria that we'll follow. I'll share all that with you, but there's so much going on. Look through your newsletter for all the things. Many of these I've shared with you are in the newsletter right now. A lot will be next week, so I'm giving you a sneak preview. But friends, I am excited, and I hope you are too. Don't give up in this time. Keep engaged. Join us in worship, and let's continue to love God, love others, and serve the world. I hope you have a great day. Be blessed, and #be a blessing.